Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Matthew volume in the New American Commentary series by Craig Blomberg. Before I do that, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Also, I'd appreciate it if you consider clicking the thumbs up button on my videos, as that really helps my efforts on YouTube. Craig Blomberg is a professor of New Testament at Denver Seminary, and he's been there since 1986. He's an expert in the New Testament and especially the Gospels. Blomberg is evangelical, conservative, and he is also Baptist. Blomberg published this Matthew volume in the NAC series in 1992. It is 464 pages in length. A few years ago, Dr. Blomberg was kind enough to do a question and answer with me for my website on this particular volume, and I'm going to put a link to that Q&A in the description box below the video, and so you can read that when the video is over. Before I get into more detail, including some academic reviews on the Matthew volume, I want to share with you a couple other books that Blomberg wrote so you are familiar with his writing ministry. This is one of my favorite books of Blomberg's, and it's one of my favorite books on defending the historical accuracy of Scripture. Came out maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. It's titled, Can We Still Believe the Bible? Subtitle is An Evangelical Engagement with Contemporary Questions. This book is really an apologetics. Blomberg interacts with critics of the gospel and critics of biblical accuracy over the last, 10, 20 years or so. I'll just read you a couple chapter titles so you get an idea of what the content is like. The first chapter is called, Aren't the Copies of the Bible Hopelessly Corrupt? Another chapter is called, Can We Trust Any of Our Translations of the Bible? And the other chapters are like that too. So if you're interested in subject matter like that, this would be an excellent resource. And by the way, that will also inform you of some of the approach to Matthew that Blomberg takes in his commentary. He does believe in the historical accuracy of the Gospels, and he believes that the supernatural events that they record actually happened in time and space. I'll say more about that in just a moment. Here is another book that Blomberg has written. It's his contribution to the Biblical Theology for Life series. The title is Christians in an Age of Wealth. The subtitle is A Biblical Theology of Stewardship. And this book is about finances, not only what Christians give, but also how they steward what they keep. So it's an introductory level book. I think anybody, even those who are new to the subject matter, would do just fine with this book. I think this one as well. I think anybody can read this book. It's accessible by anybody. A couple other books that I'll show you too. These ones might be a little bit more on the intermediate end of the spectrum as far as the content goes. And like I said, Blomberg's an expert in the Gospels, and these two books are about the Gospels. This one he published, I think, in the late 80s, and it's titled The Historical Reliability of the Gospels. And as you can tell, it's more of an apologetic approach. He's interacting with critics of the accuracy, the historical accuracy of the Gospels in this text. And so I might have read this one in seminary. I can't remember now, but it's a little bit more intermediate. This one, though, I will tell you, I have used this one in, I'm trying to remember which class it was. It was either teaching Life of Christ or maybe it was Introduction to the New Testament, and I used this book called Jesus in the Gospels. The subtitle is An Introduction and Survey. So it's a survey. It's kind of an overview of all four Gospels, and it has some helpful visual aids in it. Oh, I turned to one right there. The composition of John is the purpose of this visual aid, and that's helpful to readers who are new to the topic. So I assigned this one to, I can't remember now, but it was an undergraduate, so 18 to 22-year-olds. So that just kind of tells you a little bit more about what the reading level was for this particular book. So excellent resources by Craig Blomberg can really, those last two can really aid your understanding of this commentary that he wrote on Matthew as well. So before I get into details, I just want to show you this cover design, because the New American Commentary series, so the New Testament volumes have this kind of maroon red color to them, and the Old Testament volumes have a similar design, but it's a blue. This series is being rebranded. It's being rebranded as Christian Standard Commentary. And this one is obviously the Galatians volume, because at the time I'm making this video, there's only a few volumes out in this new rebranded approach. And Galatians is the only volume I have in this Christian Standard Commentary series so far. So why I'm showing this is because if you watch this video in the future, I'm pretty sure at some point the Craig Blomberg Matthew volume is going to have this cover design to it. Maybe it already does. I'm not sure. But if it doesn't already, I think it's going to soon. It's going to look like this, and then people are going to wonder whether this cover design and this cover design is the same content. It's going to be largely the same content. This is revised, so it's possible that the Matthew version of this Christian Standard Commentary might be revised, but a lot of the content will still be the same. So that's for everyone in the future who's watching this video and trying to figure out Craig Blomberg's Matthew commentary. Okay, so the New American Commentary series, I would describe it as a mid-level commentary series. The authors are conservative. They have a Baptist background. All the authors in the NAC series most of them are Baptist pastors, or they teach at a Baptist seminary. It's possible there could be like a Baptist missionary or something like that. I can't remember all the authors off the top of my head, but all of them are associated with the Baptist tradition, some denomination or church in the Baptist tradition. Volumes aim for solid exegesis plus helpful application. That's what's reflected in this subtitle as well, an exegetical and theological exposition of Holy Scripture. All the authors accept the inspiration and the inerrancy of Scripture, as the preface describes it. So Blomberg is also, a couple of the details about Blomberg's position in particular. So the Greek is transliterated in this text, meaning a person does not need to know how to read Greek in order to use this commentary. Blomberg does discuss the Greek, but he will, a person doesn't need to know Greek in order to follow along with what he's saying about it. Blomberg believes in Markan priority, which means that he believes that the Gospel of Mark was the first gospel written, and that informs some of his interpretations in the Gospel of Matthew. The audience, Blomberg believes that Matthew was writing for Christians who had left the synagogue. He's writing for new Christians who had recently left synagogue life. It's probably a better way to say it. He believes Matthew was written from 58 to 69 AD, somewhere in there. That's the window, 58 to 69 AD. He believes that Matthew wrote it. Some don't, by the way, but Blomberg does believe Matthew wrote it. And also Blomberg is premillennial. A couple of academic reviews. The first one comes from Calvin Theological Journal. The reviewer calls this commentary an excellent commentary and says, "Delightful especially are the applications to everyday life that permeate Blomberg's exposition." The second review comes from the journal Themelios, and this reviewer is Donald Hagner. And why I don't always mention the authors of the reviews that I share, because my audience, not everybody knows them. But Hagner wrote the Matthew volumes in the Word Biblical Commentary series, so that's why I'm mentioning it. It's another very well-reviewed Matthew commentary, and he's actually the reviewer in this Themelios article. What he says about this volume is, Blomberg's commentary is solidly evangelical, well-informed, and judicious in its conclusions. His treatment of the parables is especially strong. In our day, it is refreshing to see Blomberg's openness to the supernatural in history. And what Hagner means by the supernatural in history are events like Jesus' birth, Jesus' miracles, Jesus' transfiguration, Jesus' resurrection, among other events. So Hagner gives this volume excellent reviews in part because of Blomberg's openness to the supernatural in history, in Hagner's words. Next review comes from the Master's Seminary Journal, which is the school associated with John MacArthur. The reviewer says that this is one of the best volumes in the entire NAC commentary series. He says Blomberg offers readers clarity in discussing problems, good theological synthesis, and informed reasoning for his interpretations. The gospel to Blomberg is historically reliable. The gospel to Blomberg is historically reliable. So that's kind of the thread with many of the books that Blomberg has written, and also this commentary on Matthew, is that if you want a commentary author who believes that the Gospels are historically accurate, this would be a great commentary to consider. All the links, I'll put links for all of these books in the description box down below, so please check that out. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for visiting bestbiblecommentaries.com.